Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good Monday morning, and welcome to this November the 7th, 2022 weekly reading. Okay, where do we start? We've got energies going completely crazy right now. I don't know how everybody else's weekend was, but mine was definitely wild, from power outages to internet outages to the event center next door to me having three really wild, loud parties. So lack of sleep going on here. But having said that, with the power having gone out, the internet having gone out, there was a solar flare last night. And I got up this morning to half of the internet having complete freakouts. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. Couple that with a full moon as well as a lunar eclipse going on tonight, the US midterms happening tomorrow. And we've got a recipe for some really intense emotions and intense energies. Now, having said that, I don't believe that the solar flare that went off poses any kind of risk to any of us on the planet. And here's why. I'm going to give a shout out to Ben from Suspicious Observers YouTube channel. I have been watching Ben for a couple of years now, and he is absolutely fantastic. He follows the science, and I'm talking real science here, guys, not the kind of science that we've been fed for the last 3 years. Okay. This guy knows his stuff. The solar flare that shot off from our sun towards Earth, first of all, is an M class, not an X class. Most of the planet's not even going to know what happened, unless, of course, they were watching these channels that go, ah, okay. It wasn't actually 100% Earth directed either. So it's going to give us more of a glancing blow, if anything. Like I said, the majority of the planet's not even going to know it happened. So everyone needs to take a deep breath and take it down a couple of notches. Okay. The lunar eclipse is tonight, full moon lunar eclipse. Yes, that is bringing up a lot of really intense energies and emotions as well. But what we need to keep in mind is we as humans have been on this planet for an extremely long time. And intense full lunar eclipses have happened time and time again. And we're still here. Okay, granted, we didn't have the same technology that we have now. We didn't have the same kind of connectivity, all of these other factors that make it a little bit different. But come on, guys, take a couple of deep breaths and bring it down a couple of notches, okay? The full moon that we are going into tonight, along with the eclipse, is about change. That's kind of the overall theme of what we're going into. So, having said that, let's have a look at what the cards are going to guide us to for the rest of this week. For those of you who are new to my channel, if you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. I always start my day by lighting a candle, lighting some sage or lighting some incense, and cleansing and clearing a lot of what's going on around me. It helps to bring the energies down, especially when you consider that the smell of sage or the smell of certain incenses have the ability to actually affect our nervous system and take it down a couple of notches, okay? I'm really quickly going to describe how all of this works on my channel every Monday, and then we'll get on with it. So every single Monday, I come on and I present 3 little trinkets or stones or gems. I ask you to go into a slight light meditative state as I present the 3 gems or trinkets. And I ask you to make a decision as to which one you are most drawn to. I will then draw cards from each of the 3 decks that are associated with the gems or trinkets. And that will be your guiding energy as well as a shadow energy for this week. Okay. All right. So let's start with lighting our candle. I am still using my Dia de Muertos candle as there's still lots of wax left in it. So let's light this candle. And as we do, let's call in the angels, the ancestors, and the animals. Let's call in the 4 directions, the north, the south, the east, and the west. Let's call in the energies of the elements, the earth, air, water, fire, and spirit. And we ask for assistance in our readings today, that our readings are for the highest good of those who decide to listen to them. Okay, let's light some sage. I light a fire here today based on the energies. All right, let's wave this around with the intention of cleansing and clearing. We clear out each of the decks. All right, and then I'm going to set this way off to the side so that we don't have smoke wafting across the screen for the whole session. Okay, so quiet your mind. You can do this with your eyes opened or closed, and take a couple of deep breaths. Bring your energy down, and I'm going to present the 3 stones for today. Before you make your decision, wait until all 3 stones are presented, and then decide which one you are most intuitively drawn towards. So the very first one is rainbow fluorite, a rainbow fluorite point. So have a look at it. It's got some purples and some greens in it. So if you are drawn towards this purple and green rainbow fluorite point, I'll be pulling cards from deck number 1 for you. The second is a piece of turquoise. This is from a necklace. It is a pendant, I guess you could call it. So if you are called towards this rather large piece of turquoise, I'll be pulling cards for you from deck number 2. And finally, I have a moonstone necklace and pendant. So if you are drawn towards the moonstone, I'll be pulling cards for you from deck number 3. So make your decision as to whether you are drawn towards the fluorite point, the turquoise, or the moonstone. And let's get started. All right, so for those of you who are drawn towards the fluorite, rainbow fluorite point, I'll be pulling cards for you today from the Angels and Ancestors Oracle Card Deck by Kyle Gray. So the first card that I'm going to pull is going to be the dominant energy for you this week. All right, I'm just going to adjust my camera here. I seem to be like taking up the whole frame. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay. Also, please check the description for timestamps. I will also put in the description a link to the Suspicious Observers YouTube page. And that one? Nope, it's this one. Yeah, it's this one. Okay. For those of you that selected the fluorite point, your dominant energy this week is the Spirit Fox. Trust your talents in changing times. Okay. So the fact that I was talking about change, that's what tonight's lunar eclipse full moon is all about. It's all about change. And then the very first card that I pulled today is the Spirit Fox. Go figure. Trust your talents in changing times. What this is really saying is your dominant energy this week is change, but it's also trust. Trust that the life experiences that you've had up until this point have been for the purposes of preparing you for what's coming, whatever's coming. And I'm not going to get into the conspiracy theories here, although trust me, it's really, really tempting to get into that. But I kind of have a wide viewing audience and I don't know what everybody's views are. But the bottom line is that we are going through a huge time and shift and change in energies. It doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on or which side of the conspiracy theory you are on. Change is coming. And the bottom line is that everything that has happened to us and that we have experienced up until this point has been for the purpose of preparing us for what we're about to go through. I'm just turning down my phone. I don't know why it wasn't turned off, but it wasn't, and now it is. Okay. As I've said before, I apologize, but I'm real. I don't edit my videos. I do one take and this is what you get. So, okay, back to the Spirit Fox. Okay, everything that you have experienced, whether you were bullied in school or whether you were the bully, okay, whether you've recently lost a job or you managed to hold on to your job throughout the last 2.5 or 3 years, whether you are in a committed relationship or whether you're going through a breakup, whatever your experiences are, have prepared you for the change that's coming. And you need to trust in that. So many of us go through life going, I have nothing to offer. Actually, you do, because you're the only one that's lived your life and your experience. Okay. That's something that so many of us forget. And so this is actually not just coming from the cards today. This is coming from my heart to yours. Please trust. Trust that everything that you have experienced has taught you something and has given you gifts to be able to share with the rest of the world. You have something to offer. And when you begin to trust that, then beautiful things start to happen. Okay. Now, shadow energy this week, which will be the card from the bottom of the deck, your shadow energy. Okay. Now, shadow energy is the energy that may be hidden from us, the energy that we may not realize that we are expressing, that is preventing us from fully realizing the dominant energy. Okay. So your dominant energy this week is for you to trust what you have. Trust everything that you've learned has given you gifts to be able to share with the world. Okay. The shadow this week that's being hidden from you, the shadow that you are hiding from the world, is the trader energy, exchange energy to create abundance. Okay. What this means is that when you are not fully acknowledging your own skills and talents, when you don't fully acknowledge this, then you're not living in abundance. You're not trading those skills for the purposes of creating more abundance in your life. Honestly, this is probably going to be one of the shortest readings that I've ever done. But the cards today are just speaking more loudly and more clearly than I could. I can't add anything to this. The bottom line is that if you're not exchanging your energy and your gifts, then you're preventing yourself from living in abundance. Okay. So your lesson this week, acknowledge and trust in your skills, your gifts in the changing times. And in order for you to fully manifest abundance, you need to share those gifts. Okay. All right. Let's move on to deck number 2. Those of you who selected this piece of turquoise this week, I'll be pulling cards from the Osho Zen Tarot for you. Okay, let's clear out the last one and let's get started. Is this the card that wants to come out? There's a card that's sticking out. Okay. For those of you who selected the turquoise this week, your dominant energy is celebration, also known as the Three of Cups. And this is also known as the Triple Goddess card. Okay. Now, being the Triple Goddess card, it means that there is aspects of the divine feminine that are coming in this week. Now, that doesn't mean that if you identify as a male, that this card has little meaning to you. When I'm talking about the divine feminine or feminine energies versus masculine energies, I'm talking about the dominant energies of the masculine and the feminine, not talking about whether somebody has a certain sex organ and somebody doesn't have a certain sex organ. Okay. We're talking about the energies that are exuded by either femininity or masculinity. Okay. So for those of you who have this card this week, this is your dominant energy. It is a time of celebration. Now, given that we are in this time of change, we're in this time of the full moon, as well as the full lunar eclipse, as well as some other energies, including political energies, as previously mentioned at the beginning of the video. This is telling me that for some of you, this week will be a time of celebration. Your anticipated or expected outcome of some of the energies that are happening are going to come to fruition. Okay. So the other thing is that, as I mentioned, this corresponds to the Three of Cups in the traditional tarot, and you'll notice three women dancing on here. So these three women dancing, this is why I call it the Triple Goddess card, because there are three women dancing who represent the goddess, the maiden, and the crone, which are the three aspects of femininity or of a woman's life. Okay, women are born as maidens, as young maidens, and then women come into their goddess phase. The goddess phase is typically the childbearing years, and then women move into the crone period of life. The crone period of life is usually right around when menopause starts. And this is the time of life when women are supposed to be looked up to and respected for the gifts and the skills that they have learned through life and that they can now impart or share with others. Okay, so regardless of where you are at in this phase of the Triple Goddess, right now is a time for celebration, to celebrate the feminine, to celebrate the gentleness that's there. Okay. Okay, so what else can I say about this card? So this card is about dancing in the rain, splashing in the puddles, having that childlike energy of celebration this week. This is the dominant energy for those of you that selected the turquoise this week. Okay, so enjoy it. Revel in this energy this week. For many of us, we haven't had an opportunity to really celebrate much in the last couple of years. So enjoy it. But in so doing, keep the feminine energies alive, those energies of kindness, those energies of generosity, the energy of being gentle with yourself and being gentle with others as you are celebrating. Okay, that's really important, because even before I look at your shadow energy this week, I'm having a sense that celebration has the potential for an opposite that might not feel so positive. But let's have a look and see what your other energy is. Okay. The shadow energy for you this week is totality. And this might have been what I was picking up. So totality is about trust. It's about going all in. And here's the thing, and this is probably what I was picking up. When we have an opportunity to celebrate after a long period of time of not celebrating, sometimes there is the temptation for totality, right? Going all in and going all in too far. That can involve overconsumption of products potentially. And in so doing, it can also involve overreactions and can involve some heightened emotions that may not serve our highest good. And so this is the shadow work for this week. For those of you that selected deck number 2 or the turquoise, go out and celebrate. And like I said, keep the feminine energies in mind as you're celebrating, that gentleness, that kindness, because if this is your shadow, it's an indication that there is the opportunity this week to take things too far. And you want to avoid taking things too far. This is your shadow this week. Don't take things too far. Okay, so that is the reading for deck number 2. And I'm just going to shift this over here and we'll go on to deck number 3. So for those of you who selected the Moonstone necklace, this is your reading. I'll be pulling cards for you from the Messages from the Spirits of Nature deck. Okay, the dominant energy for those who selected this deck this week, for those who selected the Moonstone. Woo! I don't know if you can see that. Unfortunately, I do have a very small deck. Otherwise, I'd be a little bit further back. But this card jumped. I mean, really, really jumped. Woo! Okay. This card has come up several times in the last couple of weeks. This is the apple tree, which represents abundance. Okay. So for those of you that selected the Moonstone necklace this week, you are being reminded of the abundance that you have in your life right now. The thing is that abundance is not just about money. Abundance is about gratitude. Abundance is about having family and friends around us. Abundance is about having sufficient food, regardless of where that food comes from. Okay. I actually had somebody reach out to me and get upset with me about the abundance card coming up a couple of weeks ago when I said that, abundance is about being grateful for the food that you have. And this person was quite perturbed because their abundance had come from the food bank. That's still abundance. You had food for your family this week. Okay. It may not be optimal. Okay. It may not be the best situation, but you still had the opportunity to put food in your stomach that week. Okay. Abundance isn't always about money. Abundance is about gratitude for what we have, even if what we have is coming from a place that perhaps we didn't want it to come from, but it still came to us. Okay. Abundance, the abundance card can represent a longing and a desire and a real pull and want. Okay. that type of energy. And given that we are going into the full moon and the lunar eclipse tonight, it is possible that this card, for some of you, is representing that really strong, almost desperate pull towards wanting or needing more money in your life. And that's fine if that is your path and your journey. And if that's what you want and need, that's great. Okay. Begin that manifestation process. But what this card is also telling you is to not forget what you currently have as well, and to practice the gratitude. Because without gratitude, there can't be more abundance. We have to recognize and acknowledge what we already have in order to be able to manifest more. Okay. Okay, what is your shadow energy this week? The card from the bottom of the deck will be your shadow energy. Thirst. Right? What's the opposite of abundance? It's thirst. It is that desperate wanting. Okay. So if you're expressing abundance in your life by a desperation and a want, yeah, you're definitely representing the desert. Okay. This is your shadow this week, which means that if this is what you are expressing, you're actually preventing more abundance from coming into your life. Okay. So watch for this thirst, this want, this desire that goes so deep, because it's actually going to prevent abundance. Okay. It's okay to express that you would like to have more in your life, but the best way to achieve more is to be grateful for what you already have. And that's what those two cards are telling you this week. Okay. Acknowledge the abundance you already have instead of wanting more. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I wish you all the very, very best as we go through this energy of change, as we go through this lunar eclipse. Again, please check out Suspicious Observers. Ben knows his stuff. Okay, shout out to Ben here. He knows his stuff. Don't get caught up in the hype that's going on right now. Thank you.